Hey everybody. So I found this cool little model kit on eBay, and I actually found this a couple of years ago maybe. And it's the Pass the Butter robot from Rick and Morty. And so any Rick and Morty fan is going to recognize this little guy, the Butter robot. And so Rick invents this little robot, and his only purpose is to pass butter. And once he realizes that's the only reason for his existence, he's like, oh my god. And so it's hilarious. It's just a really fast, quick segment in the show, but for some reason a lot of people have become familiar with this little Pass the Butter robot. So anyway, I found this kit, and it was on eBay, and it's a 3D printed thing. And the guy that was selling it, he had actually already built it. And when he sent it to me, it was I don't know, I mean, no discredit to him, but it was painted absolutely horribly. It was the wrong color. It was kind of blue, and it wasn't put together very well, and it just looked terrible. So I ended up having to just completely strip everything off, paint-wise, and I had to try to smooth down as much of it as I could. It's 3D printed, and I'm not really a big fan of 3D printed stuff because of these horrible lines that are in everything. But I tried to sand off mainly the front face area, because that really showed the lines really bad, and just kind of do some things to improve it. So let me show you some close-ups of it. Alright, so looking at him a little closer up now. So I did end up using like a kind of a light gray and dark gray, because he's kind of two-toned in the episode when you see him. And so some of the things that the guy didn't get right, like I mentioned, he had this bluish color on here, and it wasn't two-toned, so I went ahead and two-toned his arms like it's supposed to be. And his arms, these do move. There's like little screws inside there, so you can actually move his arms at the shoulder part, and you can also move his arms here at the elbow, and you can also move his little wrists. I think I tightened these pretty tight though, because I wanted them to be in that particular shape. So you can tighten them as tight as you want to keep them in a fixed position. And then I went ahead and painted this round circle on here, and then it didn't have like a lens on here, but I think in the show, I'd have to go back and look, it looks like there was more of like a white little lens right in the center there. So all I did with that is I took an extra clear Lego piece, one of those discs, and I just painted it white in the middle, and just tried to make it look like a lens. So that's actually just a Lego piece that I glued in there. And then let's see what else. Oh, these wires. So the wires he had on here were way too big. It didn't look right at all. So I found some wires laying around that were more the width of what it should be, and they're just red and yellow wires. And I just cut them to the right length and glued them in place. This light will actually work, and I'll show you that in just a second. And then let's see the base down here. So he had painted the treads in kind of a I don't know, they looked kind of rough. I ended up having to clean all of this up as well, and I don't know, I'm not really sure what happened with the way he decided to do everything. So yeah, I just went through and just repainted everything, and it just looks way better. So on the back here, he had some electronics on here. He had the light, I should say, this one that blinks, and then he also had a little sound circuit in there where you could record sounds, and then he would talk. But the problem is he had everything crammed inside the body here, and there just wasn't enough room for everything, and the speaker wasn't loud enough to be stuck inside there where you could hear anything very well. So also he made it so that you had to screw in these panels. So each one of those you had to screw. So every time you wanted to open this up to turn the light on, you have to unscrew each screw. So I ended up modifying this. I just took a magnet on the back right here, and I just glued it in place, and there's a magnet in here. Now let me see if I can get a light down in here. So you can see now the magnet that's on there. So it's just a real simple way to put it on, and because you still have to reach in here to turn the light on. So this is the little battery pack for the light. So let me turn the light on, and I'll show you what that looks like. Yeah, okay, so there you go. It's just a simple blinking circuit that makes the light light up in here. Let me turn this down a little bit. Yeah, so you can see it much better that way. Yeah, and so, he had that blinking light on him. So I think that's pretty cool. So Because the light and the circuit for the voice was just crammed in there, and it just wasn't going to fit, and also because you couldn't hear him talk very well, I had to do some modifications to make that better too. I forgot to mention on the back here, because I wasn't going to need the screws to go in there anymore, I had to fill those holes. So I found these little half round kind of beads at Hobby Lobby, and I just painted them when I painted everything else, and it just kind of makes it look like little rivets back there. So that's how I hid those holes. Okay, so I came up with this base for the robot to sit on. And so now you can see how many wires and stuff consisted of the circuit that makes him talk. And so this was all crammed inside of his head, plus that big battery box for the light. So you can see how that was not going to work very well. And, I mean, the speaker, was kind of muffled in there. So all I did was take this base and kind of put it all inside here. So what this actually was is, if you go to like Walmart or Target or Hobby Lobby or whatever, they have these little plaques, and it says something like, happy birthday or Merry Christmas or whatever on it. And they're cheap. They're not expensive at all. I think they're like, $3-4. I found this at Walmart. I think it was after Halloween last year. And it was only like $2, and I bought several of these, so because I can use these for model kits too. And so I just sanded off the original, Happy Halloween decoration on here, and then I just happened to have some blue paint laying around, so I just repainted it blue. So that's what this was. It was just one of those little plaques, but they work perfect for stands for models and stuff. And so underneath here, you got room to put everything in here. So this is the microphone for recording the sounds. And then it runs on button cell batteries, which I wish it didn't. I wish it ran like on a AA or something. There's the speaker for it. This light is an indicator for when you're recording. There's the button to activate whatever you've recorded, and I kind of bored out a little bit of the wood there so the wires could fit underneath. And then that's the button you press to record, and I put that note on there because I accidentally kept pushing that button when I was testing it out or something. I can't remember. I kept erasing everything and I had to start over, so it was frustrating. So I made sure I wrote that note to myself. And then here I just drilled out some rough holes for the speaker sound to come through. So let me show you what it looks like when he's standing on it. Alright, so I just have him stand on top of the holes where the speaker is, so you can't see those. And then after I was looking at this, I thought, well, he needs the butter. I mean, you got to have the butter too, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. So I ended up coming up with this. So so this is just a fake piece of butter. So I was looking around in stores and stuff to see if I could find a butter dish that looked similar to the one that they show in the cartoon, and I really couldn't find anything because it's kind of flat. And so all I ended up doing was just making this out of foam board. I mean, you can just see how it's kind of, crudely put together, but I just cut the pieces out to make it look like the butter dish on the show, and just hot glued everything together. And so it looks good, and I think it fits the part. And then for the butter itself, this is just a piece of wood that that I cut and painted it yellow. So it's just a piece of wood that looks like a stick of butter, but it sure, looks like a stick of butter. So it's perfect. So yeah, it makes for a nice little display like that. So let me show you what he sounds like. Okay, so on the side here, all I got to do is just push the button, and I had pre-recorded the main sound from the episode.
What is my purpose? You pass butter. Oh my God. Yeah, welcome to the club, pal.
So originally, the sound clip I had was just where he makes the sound effect and he says, "What is my purpose?" And then the next one was, "Oh my God." And so that was the original one I had, but when the batteries got weak, apparently it erases all of that. So that's why I was saying I don't like the button cells, because they don't last very long. But so I bought some fresh ones now, and I just re-recorded that segment, and thankfully YouTube has that segment, so I just recorded it off of there. So yeah, you can play it as many times as you want.
What is my purpose? You pass butter. Oh my God. Yeah, welcome to the club, pal.
So anyway, now I should mention there's a company called Digital Dream Labs, and some of you might be familiar with them because they make Cosmo and Vector. If you're familiar with the Cosmo and Vector robots, they were originally made by a company called Anki. And I was one of the Kickstarters to get Vector on the market, and he is so cool. Well, both Cosmo and Vector, but Cosmo's more for kids because he plays games with the cubes and stuff. But Vector was more for adults, I would say, because he's definitely he operates on his own. He doesn't need an app. He just kind of does his own thing, and I've had him active for over 2 years. So I was one of the Kickstarters that got him going. And then unfortunately, Anki went out of business, and we were all worried about our vectors not working anymore because of the servers. Well, thankfully, a company called Digital Dream Labs came in and took over Vector and Cosmos, servers, and they've been adding updates and everything. And so, and I love Vector. He's like a little pet. I kind of feel like he's like a pet. It's so cool. And he's just absolutely super cute, and I just love that little guy. Well, anyway, Digital Dream Labs has announced that they are now going to be coming out with a Butterbot, a butter robot, and he's going to be a fully functional robot. He's going to move. His treads will move. He'll drive around. He'll be animated. He'll move and stuff like that. And I think he even comes with a stick of butter that he'll actually drag over to you if you tell him to pass the butter. He'll actually bring it to you, which is hilarious. And then I think there will be an app where you can do block coding, some block coding, which is also what Vector and Cosmo has as well. And you can, program them to do different things. And he'll probably have other functions as well. So I already pre-ordered one of those. I think they're going to be a limited edition of, I think 500 is what I heard, but I don't know if that's true or not. So supposedly they're going to have a limited edition. So if you want one of those, it was $147, and I don't think they're slated to come out until May. So it's going to be a little bit of a wait. But when I get him, I'd like to do a review on him. I'm just not sure I can, because I always film these videos on my camera, on my phone, and if the app has to run on my phone, I'm not sure I can run both the app and my camera at the same time. But if I can at least do some of the basic stuff, like maybe have him pass butter or whatever, then I will do a review showing him doing that. So anyway, so Digital Dream Labs. I'll leave a link down below in the description so you can check out their website. And you'll have to search for the butter robot. Just put butter robot in the search and it'll show up, because it's not he doesn't show up on their main page. You can see Vector and Cosmo there too, and they're coming out with a new Vector and Cosmo, Cosmo 2.0 and Vector 2.0, and they're going to have improvements, so that's going to be really cool. But I'm not replacing my Vector because I've kind of become attached to him, and I feel like I was like abandoning him. All right, well, anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. I always appreciate that, and I will see you on the next video. So thanks again, and have a good one.